Get out your quill and parchment. It's time for below grade level. It was the butler all along. Or was it?
Hello and welcome to Below Grade Level, the show where we take the books that we read as kids and read them as adults and ruin them. I'm one of your hosts, Jonathan Eaton. With me as always is Bekah Eaton.
Hello.
And Chris Oleski.
Hi.
Hi.
Feels like we just did this.
It does feel like we just did this because it's take two. Joining us today to keep reading The Hardy Boys, The Secret of the Old Mill, is returning champion. You remember him from Christopher Pike classics like Master of Murder and Chain Letter, our good friend Jimmy Reed. Welcome, Jimmy.
Thank you. Also, my cat is here, so
Ooh.
get ready for chaos.
Where is he?
He's behind the computer messing with the wires.
Cool. Well, if you suddenly disappear, we'll know who to blame.
Yeah.
Jimmy, have you ever read any Hardy Boys?
I never read a Hardy Boy.
Okay, good. Okay. So here's what happened. If you are listening to this in sequence, this is episode 3 of us reading The Secret of the Old Mill, which is the, I believe, third Hardy Boys book. Or second, I can't remember. It's one of the first couple Hardy Boys books. I looked up, what are some good crazy Hardy Boys books to read? And information I saw online was saying that the very early ones are batshit crazy, but not for any specific reasons. Our last guest, John Nagel, said that they were all rewritten in the 50s because the early versions were far too racist. I feel like they were also maybe rewritten several times because what we were reading felt pretty modern in writing style. It's just that it all takes place in the past. But now here's what happened. We started reading this book on Kindle. And the Kindle version is fucked up because we got to chapter 7, and chapter 7 suddenly was chapter 7 from a different Hardy Boys book, and it did not continue the story. So I said, I'm going to do my due diligence and find another version of this book to read before the next time we record. I lied. I didn't do that. I forgot completely. And then right as we were about to record this, I was like, oh shit, I had to find another version of this book to read. So I did find another version of this book to read, and it does seem to be a much older version of this book before it was rewritten. I don't know if this is the original version. I don't know if this is just a version from some time in the past. What I do know is that the events seem to be very different. The broad strokes seem to be the same. There's an old mill. I think there's counterfeit money. The amount of the counterfeit money went down from $20 to $5. And the cliffhanger that we left off on last time does not exist. Because if you remember last time we left off, Callie, one of their favorite dates was they heard her scream from outside the tunnel. They are not in a tunnel currently. We're starting at chapter 7. So we don't know what's going to happen. Bekah, do you want to just, for shits and giggles, catch us up on what happened last time, and then we'll see if any of it connects?
Last time they had tracked the counterfeit man to the microscope store, or I don't know, they just happened to see him there.
Yeah.
But they tried to follow him but lost him. They talked to the cops, and there have been other reports of counterfeit bills. I also wrote long, boring explanation of paper money.
I remember the cop specifically had too much information on how counterfeit bills work.
Yeah. We meet an Aunt Gertrude, who
I forgot about her.
He's the Hardy Boys aunt, or she's the Hardy Boys aunt, right?
Yeah.
She's tall and she worries a lot.
Yeah.
There was a stranger creeping around their house, and an envelope for Fenton in the mailbox that says drop case or else danger for family. And they find a bike pedal in the yard from a Belgian bike. They take it to 2 different bike stores to try to ID where this pedal came from. And they go to the mill, I think, to try to get Chet a job, which I think they turned him down.
Yeah, they're like, we don't need.
And they find out they see that bike there.
Yeah.
And they find out that Ken Blake works at the mill, and that he was away on an errand, but they could see him in the window.
That's right.
And the boys go into a cave and crawl into a tunnel, and Callie is outside and screams.
Yeah. I am very curious to see if any of that matters now.
Yeah.
We other than an old mill and the Hardy Boys and counterfeit
I am
money.
also curious. I don't know what's going to happen.
We would start over from the beginning, but we're lazy.
Yeah, I don't want to read
Yeah.
all that again.
I
I was looking up like why were the Hardy Boys rewritten, and one
Yeah.
of the reasons was to make it shorter.
Shorter.
Yeah, to get
oh,
it under
God.
200 pages.
Okay,
So
interesting.
this will be longer.
Okay.
Also, part of it was to remove the boys' rebellious nature. Hold on, let me read this to you. Because
I
it was
honestly,
funny.
I think this is going to be more fun.
Revisions portrayed the boys as less rebellious and more respectful of authority figures like the police.
Boo.
What was it? Revisions reduced page counts to under 200, updated obsolete technology like roadsters, and toned down the violence / law-breaking behavior of the original 1927 to 50s versions.
So did they just replace Roadster with Jalopy? Because spoiler alert, that's also incredibly outdated.
Well, they revised them in the 50s.
Okay. Okay.
To make the characters relevant to the boy of today.
Okay.
And also, like you said, to remove outdated, offensive, and racist depictions of minorities.
Ooh, okay. So let's say this right up top. You do not have to read what is written if and when that happens.
Yeah.
We will not be saying slurs or offensive shit on this show. So if you see that a coming, just go ahead and soften it up.
Or breeze
some
on by
ad-libbing.
it.
Or just breeze on by it. The whole like them taking the pedal to 2 different bike stores really reminded me of Nancy
It was
Drew.
at least 4 different
Oh,
bike
yeah.
stores.
4 different bike stores. Oh,
At
it's right.
least.
There's
Maybe
think it
I
was
was
the
thinking
fifth
about
one that got
Nancy Drew
Nancy.
because, they took that piece of a
That piece of
banister
wood.
to multiple carpentry
like carpenter stores.
Yeah.
Yeah. They really did their due diligence. And if I struggled with that, boy, we're in for a good time.
New character idea. The name's Bill. Bill Diligence.
Bill Diligence?
Yep.
Bill Diligence.
Oh, or Drew Diligence.
Drew
That's
Diligence.
good. That
He's
one
an
works.
accountant.
Much better, Chris. He's an accountant, and he like dots every I and crosses every T, except when it comes to love. I don't know. There's a hook there somewhere.
Gotta
Drew?
find an angle.
Drew Diligence.
It's great.
You bastard. That's so good.
Giving
Okay.
it away for free over here.
I know, right? Okay. So here's what I want to do before I start. I just want to read
Oh,
the
wow,
last.
that looks old.
I want to read the last half a page of the previous chapter, just to like. As we were joking before we started recording, we're crossing over it into an alternate timeline.
Yeah.
Secret of the Old Mill. We wouldn't carry you to the end of the lane, said Frank promptly. You'd better keep your feet moving if you want to come with us. Where are you going? Down to the old mill. Stummer tells us the place is running again. Hooray! Shouted Chet. I'll race you. And forgetting about his tender foot soles, he led the crowd in a mad race toward the main road. I don't know what happened to his feet. I don't know where the girls are. The girls seem to be
poor
gone.
tenderfoot souls.
Poor tenderfoot souls. Okay. Chapter 7. In the Mill Race. An hour later, the Hardy Boys and their chums, okay, reached the vicinity of the old mill.
They ran for an hour.
Oh my god. Nothing else to do in the 20s.
This is why his feet are tender. Now they all have tender feet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
God.
they all have blisters. They had lunch in the shade of the trees along the deserted road, and it was early in the afternoon when they arrived at the top of the hill that overlooked the river.
So this feels like it's picking up, like kind of at the start of our last chapter.
Yeah, like when they went on like their picnic.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. Because in the last version of this, they had just gotten to the old mill.
Yeah.
And now they're getting there. The old mill was a sturdy structure that had once been strong and imposing, but was now weather-beaten and showed the ravages of the years. The mill wheel turned slowly, creaking painfully as though it objected to being forced to labor again after its long rest. Outside the front door, they could see 3 figures, 2 men and a boy. At that distance, it was impossible to distinguish their features, but as the lads descended the hillside and drew closer, they saw that the men were middle-aged fellows. far from reassuring in appearance. Because of Stummer's remarks, the hardy boys and their chums took good care to keep to the shelter of the bushes as they went along the abandoned roadway, now overgrown with weeds and undergrowth. These are short pages.
So which is it? Is it overgrown or undergrown?
Who knows, Chris? In this wild, wacky time.
Their approach was not noticed, and at last they were standing not more than 100 yards away from the mill, effectually concealed by the trees and shrubs. "I don't like the looks of the men," remarked Frank in a low voice. "Neither do I," agreed Joe. One of the men was apparently about 50 years of age. He had a dirty, graying beard, and he wore spectacles. He was clad in a torn and stained pair of overalls, and his sleeves were rolled to the elbows, revealing his blackened arms.
From the mill?
I don't know. I don't know.
Probably from the ink for the counterfeit money.
Ooh.
Or all that dirty grist.
For a miller, there's mighty little flour on his hands, commented Frank. He looks more like an automobile mechanic.
Oh, shit.
The other man, who looked older, was similarly attired, but was of a more benevolent appearance. He did not wear glasses, and his shaggy brows almost hid a pair of keen, sharp eyes. That's more benevolent?
Yeah, and how fucking big are your eyebrows?
He fondled his long white beard reflectively as the other man talked to him in low tones.
So he's a wizard.
Yes.
A mill wizard. The boys could not overhear what the pair were saying, but they saw the boy, a fair, curly-headed youth of about 15, in ragged clothing, look up at the older man and say something to him. Instantly, the old fellow lost his look of benevolent reflection.
Good God.
He gave the boy a cuff on the ear that almost staggered him. "Be off with you," he ordered harshly. "Go away and play. Don't be hanging around here while we're talking." He spoke so loudly that his words could be clearly heard by the lads hidden in the bushes. The curly-headed boy stood his ground and evidently repeated what he had said before, for the old man at once became furious. "Go away and play, I tell you," he shouted in shrill tones. "I'll call you when I need you, and be sure you come in a hurry when you hear me." He reached behind him for a heavy cane that was leaning beside the doorway, and he struck out viciously at the lad with it.
Jesus Christ.
But the boy dodged the blow and ran off toward the mill race, while the old man watched him go, muttering imprecations.
What? What the fuck is a mill race?
I don't know.
I thought the mill race was them running to the mill.
I also thought that.
"Leave him alone." "Oh, sorry. Leave him alone," said the other man in a guttural voice. "We've got other things to attend to than that brat. He's a nuisance. I'll whale the hide off him when he comes back. Leave him alone. Markle is waiting for us. Let's go inside."
Maybe.
All right, muttered the old man peevishly. He turned away and followed the other through the doorway.
A mill race is like the channel of water that is funneled into the wheel.
Oh, well, what do you know?
Now we know.
It's not just lads running to a mill.
Yeah, lads.
Nice-tempered old chap, remarked Jerry when the pair had disappeared into the mill.
Who's Jerry?
They see who was
Oh.
that?
I guess they have man friends instead of dates.
He's
or
One of the
boy-
chums.
I guess
Yeah,
he's
he's
a
a
chum.
chum.
Boy chums.
Okay.
One of those bush-hiding chums.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say he is, declared Joe. I don't think either of them is up to much. The young fellow looks all right, Chet said. He looks as if he has a sweet life here with those men.
He got hit.
No.
What?
Seems
Phil
as if
said.
it's- Phil? Oh my God.
There's a
Okay.
There's a list.
So, Jerry and Phil seem to have taken the place of Callie and Iola.
Yeah.
So instead of being on like a double date with Chet, also there,
Yeah.
it's
a bunch of boys.
it's just 5 boys.
And
Just 5 lads. Jumping around. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
Yep. Bill said, I thought Stummer told us there were 3 men running the mill. They said something about Markle, Frank pointed out. He's the man who's waiting for them inside the mill. That must be the other partner. Let's go up and talk to that kid, suggested Joe. Perhaps we can dig something out of him about those men. They don't seem to treat him very well anyway.
What gave that away?
The boy was walking along the side of the old mill race. The waters were very swift at this point, for the current was strong and the river was deep. The boy was trudging along the weather-beaten planks with his hands in his pockets, looking very disconsolate. Lonely-looking boy, observed Tony.
Who's Tony? Oh my god.
They told him to run away and play. He looks as if he'd never played in his life.
Wow.
Oh my god.
We'll go over and talk to him, Frank decided. If those old chaps say anything to us about being around here, we'll ask them to quote some prices on having some milling done. Oh, clever. Keep the language.
Oh my god.
Hello, adults. We're just a couple of young teenage boys. How much does it cost to mill some stuff? I can do that! Exclaimed Chet. Dad's a farmer, and he's often said he wished the old Turner mill was running again so he wouldn't have to haul his grain so far. The boys emerged from the bushes and crossed the weed-grown open space near the front of the mill. The other lad had not yet seen them. He was standing by the mill race, some distance below, gazing into the water, now and then raising his head to look at the clacking wheel that turned monotonously in showers of dripping water.
I can see why they cut this down.
Yeah. I'm curious about this patent food story. Oh my god, Frank said. It's queer there wasn't anything in the papers about it. Nobody except the farmers, like Stummer, seems to have heard about the old mill being taken over.
Oh, probably they want to keep it to themselves until everything is ready.
Jerry pointed out. It's a real Jerry voice I'm doing.
I'll bet you're beginning to see some kind of mystery in this already, Frank. Chances are we'll just get kicked off the premises for our pains.
Oh, I don't think there's any mystery about it, said Frank with a smile, but I'm just curious to know what it's all about. The internet doesn't get invented for another 50 fucking years. No law against that, Phil agreed. If this breakfast food invitation of theirs turns out to be something wonderful that makes oh god, there's
Us?
like
I think it's
us
us,
that makes us all live about 20 years longer, we can say we were among the very first to know about it.
So now there's a breakfast food invention.
What
This
the
is great.
fuck? This is awesome.
Is this like the secret history of Hot Pockets?
Yes.
What? Holy shit. Oh man.
By this time, they had drawn closer to the mill race, and the boy standing there had raised his head and seen them. He was a good-looking fellow, not unlike Joe Hardy in appearance. As Carl Stummer had pointed out, who the fuck is Carl Stummer? Why did they keep talking about him every other sentence?
He seems to be an old farmer that they talked to previously in this
God.
book that existed in alternate dimension.
Okay, but this other boy, his face was pinched and drawn, and there was a melancholy expression in his eyes. Looks as if he hadn't had a square meal in a month, Jerry remarked. The boy turned and began to move toward Frank and Joe. He had only gone a few paces. However, when they saw him... He had only gone a few paces, however, when they saw him suddenly stumble. Some of the words are just cut in the middle.
Yeah.
He had stepped on a loose stone that had rolled from beneath his foot. Oh my god, that's so embarrassing. There's like 5 of them, and he's walking towards them, and he fucking falls. Oh no.
Ouch.
He wavered uncertainly, striving to regain his balance. Then, with a shrill cry, he toppled over into the mill race and fell with a splash into the swiftly rushing torrent of water.
Wait.
Help! He shouted in terror. Help!
This is the kid that they're walking
Yeah,
towards?
the sad kid. The sad, lonely kid.
He's gonna get ground up in that fucking
Oh
wheel.
god, he's gonna become
Yeah.
breakfast.
Yeah, here comes the new
It's gonna
secret
become
breakfast.
grist.
Yeah.
Ah, that's it's Soylent.
Grist.
Soylent
Grit,
melancholy boy.
Soylent Melancholy Boy.
Chapter
grist, grist
8.
pockets.
Joe's Courage. The accident had happened so quickly that it was not for a few moments that the Hardy Boys and their chums realized the lad's danger. Then, as they saw him struggling in the torrent, they began to run toward the spot to which the lad was being rapidly carried. Joe was in the lead, and as he ran, he was taking off his coat. Just below the mill race, the river was full of rocks, and the rapids dashed over them in a boiling fury of spray and foam. If the
Is that
youth-
wheel just like
It sounded
spinning like crazy?
it sounded like it was going kind of slowly because he was just like
Yeah.
staring at it clacking monotonously.
But it sounds like a rapid.
It does sound like rapids.
If the youth were ever swept into the rapids, he would be doomed.
He would be.
The other lads were not far behind Joe. The accident had not been seen from the mill, for no one appeared in the doorway, and the cries of the boy in the river evidently had not been heard by the men in the building.
You think those dudes give a shit about that kid falling in the water? They're probably like, I know that one guy's definitely gonna be like, fuck, good.
Like, again.
Help! He was shouting. Help! He was struggling in the water, being swept irresistibly on toward the deadly rapids. I can't swim!
No.
Joe reached the bank, paused to kick off his shoes, then stood and poised for a moment above the rushing waters. He dived into the mill race, disappeared beneath the surface, then rose just a few yards away from the struggling boy. The lad had already gone under once and was gasping for breath. He was just about to go under for a second time when Joe swam toward him with strong, steady strokes and grasped him by the collar. Frantically, the boy tried to seize his rescuer, but Joe was ready for that. He knew that the unreasoning grip of a drowning person is of the utmost danger. You knew this, right?
Yeah, we all know this. We've all done this.
So he managed to stay at arm's length and at the back of the boy. "Hold steady," he shouted above the roar of waters. "Hold steady. Keep cool." His words had some effect in restoring the lad to his senses, and the boy, feeling the supporting grasp of his collar, ceased his struggles. But the danger was not yet over. The current was so strong that they were both being carried headlong downstream toward the rapids. Joe could see the jagged rocks silhouetted against a background of flying spray and foaming water.
Jesus.
If only they were swept into that maelstrom. If once they were swept into that maelstrom, they would be battered to death.
Good God.
He was handicapped by the weight of the boy, but he turned toward the shore and exerted all of his efforts in swimming toward the bank.
But he made little progress. The current was too strong for him. I was just thinking if I tried to do this right now, like save a kid that fell in this situation, we'd both die.
I mean, if it was a small kid, I probably could.
But you gotta
Yeah,
watch. You might
I'm a strong swimmer.
he could try to strangle you.
He could try and
Yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta dodge him.
Yeah, we
And
all
my
know that,
arms
Chris.
are really short, so arm's length might not be good enough.
Yeah. He would grab you and he'd push you under trying to get himself out.
Yeah.
The other lads running along the bank were watching the scene in consternation. He'll never make
He'll never make it.
declared Jerry.
The current is too much for him.
They could see Joe's tense face as he pitted his strength against the force of the current and desperately strove to make his way toward the bank. He was still clinging to the boy, who was commencing his struggles anew. They were being swept closer to the rapids every moment. There were a number of rocks rising above the surface of the river just a few feet ahead, and beyond that was a smooth, deep, swiftly flowing sheet of water that swept past the willows at the bend and ended in a quarter of a mile of rough, turbulent water, rapids, and falls. "I'm going to help him!" exclaimed Frank suddenly. He stopped on the bank and flung off his coat and started to untie his shoelaces in order to kick his light shoes aside. But in the meantime, Joe had managed to catch at a projecting rock with his free hand, so Chet put a restraining hand on Frank's arm. For a moment, it seemed that the current would make Joe lose his grip, but he clung to the rock and drew himself closer until he had wrapped his arm around it. So
Don't
I like that,
save it. They're at the will of the mill.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I like that Frank was like just watching this and then eventually was like, "Oh, I'll help."
Yeah.
And then was
I
like
guess
taking
I'll
his
get
shoes
in
off
there.
and Chet was like, "There's no point. You
Yeah.
took too long. You took too long."
The rest of the rock was wide and flat and lay just a few inches beneath the surface. Slowly, Joe clambered onto this precarious refuge, dragging the half-conscious boy with him. The rock was big enough to provide foothold for them both. The boy was unable to help himself, as he was limp and weak from his experience. Just as he was
Loser.
almost on the rock, Joe lost his grip on the lad's collar for a second, and the current whirled him to one side. The lad toppled backward, striking his head on the rock.
Oh God!
But Joe made a frantic grab for him, at imminent risk of precipitating himself into the water again. His fingers closed about the back of the lad's shirt, and he managed to haul the boy to safety once more. But the blow had rendered the lad unconscious. He lay limply on the flat rock with the water breaking about his body, while Joe, his clothes drenched, clung to him. "Get help! Get a rope!" Joe shouted to his companions on the bank. Frank and Chet lost no time. They fled back toward the old mill. The affair in the river had passed unnoticed by the millers, and when Chet and Frank rushed up to the front door, they found no one in sight.
Is this kid what's his name? The kid from the bike?
I don't know. That's what I was imagining.
What was his name? Ken Blake?
Ken Blake.
I wonder if this kid is Ken Blake.
I'm going inside, declared Frank. We'll have to get a rope or they'll be swept off that rock in no time. Also, I thought it was Frank that dove in.
No, it's Joe.
Oh.
Idiot.
Oh. Well then, I'm going inside, declared Frank. We'll have to get a rope or they'll be swept off that rock in no time. The door was closed, but he pushed it open and entered the dim interior of the mill. But hardly had he stepped inside, with Chet at his heels, then he ran into the arms of one of the men whom he had seen outside the doorway some time previously. Hi, what do you want? Demanded the man angrily.
Hi, what do you want?
Hi.
That's crazy.
Hi, what do you want? Angrily.
Yeah.
He seized Frank by the shoulders and tried to push him back out of the building. At the same time, the other man came running out of a nearby door. What's going on here? He shouted wrathfully. What's all this about?
Wrathfully?
Get out of here, you boys!
Damn lads.
The sound of voices evidently attracted the attention of a third man, for he too came running out of the shadows carrying a heavy club, which he brandished threateningly.
A club?
What do you want here?
I was
He
just gonna
shouted
say,
excitedly.
Is he a caveman?
He was short and broad-shouldered with a dirty kerchief knotted about his neck. We want a rope, Frank explained, taken aback by this hostile demonstration. Your boy is drowning in the mill race. The three men became immediately concerned.
They crowded about asking questions. What boy? Where is he? What do you want a rope for?
Oh my god.
He fell into the river a few minutes ago. If we don't hurry, he'll be drowned. My brother rescued him and they're both on a rock down near the rapids, Frank said hurriedly. Get a rope, quick! Get a rope, Markle! Shouted the bespectacled old man to the fellow with the club. Hurry up! Markle dropped the club and ran back into the room from which he had come. In a few moments, he returned, dragging a length of rope. Where is he now? Asked the old man. Lead the way. The men of the mill had forgotten their first animosity when told of the plight of the boy, and now they followed Chet and Frank as the two boys ran outside again and raced along the bank to the place where the other boys were standing in an excited group, shouting advice and encouragement to Joe, who was still clinging to the rock.
You can do it!
You hold that rock, buddy.
Yeah.
Markle stumbled along the bank with the rope, and when he reached the group of boys, they moved back to give him space. He coiled the rope loosely in one hand, then whirled the free end of it about his head and flung it out into the stream.
Like a lasso?
Yeah,
I don't know.
lasso a child.
Yeah, I guess people knew how to lasso more in 1927.
They were bespectacled.
And they were bespectacled. But the rope fell short. The guy sucks at lasso. Joe made a frantic grab for it, but Markle had misjudged the distance.
He needs
classic.
Bespectacles.
He does need new spectacles. Here, let me. I don't remember what voice he did. Here, let me try it. Demanded the oldest of the three men, probably the one with like the giant eyebrows. Pushing Markle impatiently to one side, he seized the loose end of the rope, drew the remainder of it from the rushing water, and then cast it out to Joe. The rope whirled through the air, missed Joe's outstretched fingers by inches, then splashed into the water. Fuck, he said.
Can't you throw it in the water a little bit above them and let it float towards them?
Yeah, they're not good at physics.
It hadn't been invented
Like
yet.
he has to catch it perfectly, otherwise this doesn't work.
Yeah. Again, the old man drew the rope back. Again, he swung it above his head, and again it arched out above the river. This time it fell against Joe's shoulders. The youth, still clinging to the unconscious form on the rock, I forgot that kid was unconscious already, hastily grabbed at it, seized it, and began hastily, still, tying it about his shoulders, underneath his arms.
Yeah, I was just thinking, how the fuck are they gonna even get them out of there?
I don't know. This is awful. He was handicapped by the fact that he had but one arm free, but at last he had the rope securely knotted. The old man was greatly excited. Oh boy, I got me one! He had noticed that the boy had not moved and that Joe had to cling to him to keep him from being swept off the rock. Lester! He shouted. Lester! Are you all right? It's not Ken Blake. It is a boy named Lester. I want to know if Ken Blake doesn't exist. I want to know if Oscar Smuff doesn't exist. Like, I feel like this is just in fucking Infinity War, and half the characters we know got snapped out of existence.
He hit his head on a rock and it knocked him out, explained Jerry. I don't think he's badly hurt, except for that concussion. At that moment, Joe looked up and waved to them as a signal that they could begin towing him ashore. He tightened his hold on the unconscious boy, then eased himself off the rock. The old man, Frank, and Markle seized the end of the rope, and as Joe released his hold of the rock, they began to pull. The rope was an old one, and Frank noticed with alarm that it was worn and frayed. Would it hold?
You don't have a new rope?
The figures in the water bobbed up and down in the waves, sometimes submerged completely.
This kid is dead.
Bit by bit, they were drawn toward the bank, but their combined weight and the strength of the current proved too much for the rope. I'm sorry. I'm yawning.
Is this not riveting?
It's not. When they were but a few yards from the shore, the rope abruptly snapped.
Mm-hmm.
The men and the boys on the bank staggered back as the loose end of the rope spun through the air. Joe and Lester were swept away in the swift current. There's an exclamation point.
Oh my god.
What?
I keep getting little half pages.
Well, then read this one. This is a new chapter?
Chapter 9,
Yeah.
The Rescue. Frank Hardy had seen that the rope was insecure. He had already laid a plan of action in case the rope broke. The rapids were just around the bend in the river. The stream was narrow at that point, and willow trees overhung the bank. The moment the rope broke, Frank leaped into action. He stumbled free of the group and raced along the river bank toward the willows. He could see Joe struggling helplessly in the swiftly flowing stream, and he knew that if the current once carried him beyond the willows, his brother would be doomed. No human being could live in those tossing rapids. Could he reach
Like kilos.
Oh, shit.
Could he reach the trees in time?
No
Would the
human being could live in there. Like, okay.
I live in streams. What are you talking about?
Well, yeah.
Could he reach the trees in time? Would the current carry Joe and Lester close enough to the bank to enable him to rescue them? Would he be able to hold them until help arrived?
Tune in next time to find out.
The bank suddenly dipped and he hurried down the grassy slope toward the willows. He was still in advance of the struggling figure in the stream, and he knew that he had a chance, although it was but a slim chance at best, of rescuing his brother and the strange boy. Why was that sentence so long?
I did like how many times you said rope broke.
Rope broke.
Rope broke.
I also said chance twice in that sentence.
He reached the
Chance.
kilos
Chance.
at last. They grew out over the smooth and rushing water. Frank ran to the edge of the soggy bank, grasped one of the trees, and leaned out over the stream. So far, luck was with him, for Joe was still a few yards away, but he was still too far out in the water to enable Frank to grasp him as he passed. But Joe had guessed Frank's intention, as well as he could, in spite of the fact that he was handicapped by the weight of the unconscious Lester. He tried to struggle closer toward the shore. The current was with him, for it swung close to the bend at this point, and it swept Joe directly beneath the overhanging willow to which Frank was clinging, steadying himself with his feet on the bank. As Joe was swept beneath him, Frank reached far down. For one breathless second he thought he had missed his brother's outstretched hand. Then their fingers met and he gripped Joe tightly, hanging on to him with all his strength. The willow bent and swayed beneath the added weight, but Frank held firm. The muscles of his arm ached with the strain, and he knew that he could not hold out long, but already he could hear shouts and the sounds of running feet that told him the others were coming to the rescue. Why is every page a really long, like the top of every page, a really long sentence?
Yeah, I don't know.
Also,
Suspense.
this feels like the climax of a book, and this is just some random kid fell in the water.
Yeah.
He just slipped on
He
a rock
tripped.
and fell in. And
Yeah.
this is taking so long.
I really didn't expect this to still be happening.
Yeah.
Hang on! We're coming! Chet was shouting, and a moment later, Frank heard his chum threshing through the bushes. Phil and the others were close behind. With his companions clinging to him, Frank managed to drag Joe ashore, still grasping the wet clothes of the unconscious boy. Dripping wet, Joe scrambled up on the bank, and together they carried Lester out of the willows onto the grass. First aid was immediately rendered. Lester was not seriously hurt. He had swallowed a great quantity of water, and the blow on his head had stunned him. But after a while, he stirred and opened his eyes.
They just pushed on his stomach real hard to shoot all the water out like a cartoon.
That's how you did it.
Right back into the...
Yeah.
Right, cat. Sorry, this cat's getting wild. The old man looked relieved.
That's what I say about a book, too, when it gets really interesting. This cat's getting wild.
This cat's getting wild. The old man looked relieved, although the other two men watched the scene with indifference. When Lester was finally able to sit up, his first question was, "Who saved me?" What? Frank indicated his brother. Joe did.
Who's Joe?
Lester struggled to his feet and gratefully shook Joe's hand. "I don't know how to thank you," he said, simply.
But you know I'm grateful. I would have been drowned if it hadn't been for you.
Joe was embarrassed. "It was him, really," he said, indicating Frank. "If it hadn't been for him, we'd have both been in the rapids by now." Lester grasped Frank by the hand.
I have both of you to thank then. You risked your lives for me.
The old man nodded.
"It was brave work," he said reluctantly. "I'm mighty thankful to you boys for saving the lad. And after this," he said harshly to Lester, "stay away from that mill race! I've told you 50 times that you're liable to get drowned fooling around there. Next time, you mightn't be so lucky."
I'm sorry, Uncle Doc,
answered the boy. Perfect name for that man. The party made their way back toward the mill, and the boys were conscious of the sullen glances of the two men who were with, quote-unquote, Uncle Doc. It was clear that the pair wished the lads would go away.
"Better take the kid inside and let him dry his clothes,"
advised Markle, roughly, gesturing to Lester.
"We'd better get back to work."
Joe's clothes were soaked, but the offer evidently did not include him. Have you got a fire in the mill?" he hinted, hopefully. No death when it looks you in the face, Joe.
Oh, I thought it was Doc like DOC when you said it.
Oh, no, I guess
There's
it's
a
with a K.
It's still weird.
It's all of it's weird.
It's still not a name. Uncle Doc glanced at Markle, who shook his head in a surly manner. "No," he answered. "Lester can go to bed until his clothes dry."
Jesus!
"My own clothes are pretty wet." Markle affected not to hear this remark, but hastened on toward the mill. "When did you take over the mill?" asked Frank of the old man. "A few weeks ago." "What are your prices for milling?" asked Chet. "My father was saying the other day that he wished the old Turner mill would open again. If he had known you were running the place, he would have been over by now. He can put a lot of trade your way." Uncle Doc hesitated and glanced at the other man. "You'd better talk to him, Kurt." "Our prices are pretty high," said Kurt shortly. "We're making breakfast foods chiefly." "But don't you need grain?" "We're pretty well stocked up." "What are your milling prices anyway?" persisted Chet.
Chet. No death when
Okay.
when you're looking at it.
Kurt thought for a moment, then gave Chet a list of prices which were so greatly in excess of those charged by the Bayport mills that they were prohibitive.
Chet had his one move, which was like, "Look, here's how we get him."
Yeah.
You get him talking about the pricing.
Oh my god.
And as soon as the child is saved, here we go.
Chet knows what Chet's about.
Why, that's higher than Dad would want to pay, Chet said. Uncle Doc shrugged his shoulders, dockily. "Take it or leave it. We ain't asking for his trade." "You won't get it. Not at those prices." It was quite evident that Uncle Doc and his strange associates were not desirous of encouraging any outside trade for the old mill.
Desirous.
However, Frank realized that the men had a right to manufacture patented food in secret if they wished, so he nudged Chet as a signal
It's a free
against
country.
any further questions. They had reached the door of the mill by now, and Markle hustled Lester inside before he had a chance to say anything further to the boys, although the lad cast an appealing glance behind as though he would have liked again to express his thanks to his rescuers. "Where do you fellows live?" asked Kurt, peering at them under his shaggy eyebrows. "Bayport." "You're a long way from home." We're just on a hike, explained Frank. We just thought we'd come around this way. You'll be late for supper if you don't hurry back. This broad hint was not lost on the boys.
It was clear that the men wanted to get rid of them. I guess we'll be on our way. We'll go in for a swim further up the river so Joe can have a chance to dry his clothes. This seemed to remind Uncle Doc of the fact that Joe had, after all, saved Lester's life. He reached for his pocket. I'd like to reward you for saving the lad, he said, becoming suddenly affable. Joe shook his head, and when Uncle Doc took 2 $5 bills from his pocket and offered them to the boys, one to Frank and the other to Joe, they disclaimed any intention of accepting money for what had plainly been their duty.
Chris, how much money is that in today's...
In today's dollars, that's probably like $2,000.
Lester was well worth it.
Yeah.
But no sooner had Uncle Doc extended the bills than the other man, Kurt, gave a muffled exclamation and stepped forward. He snatched the money from Uncle Doc's hands and quickly turned around with his back to the boys. The interruption was only of about a second's duration, for Kurt at once wheeled about and again extended the money. He gave a short, nervous laugh. My mistake. I thought he was only offering you $1 each. You deserve 5. It's all right. Here, take it. He thrust the money upon them, but they refused. Kurt did not press the point. He put the bills back in his own
They
pocket.
should have taken the money because it's definitely fucking counterfeit money.
I looked it up,
Yeah.
and I just picked 1920 as a year. $10 in 1920 is worth $163.39 today.
Hey,
Jesus Christ! That's so much money. So that was $10, you said?
Yeah, because it
Wow.
was 2 5s.
So a fiver is like $80.
Yeah.
Good God!
Well, yeah,
That's
technically,
amazing.
back then a burger cost like 5 cents.
Yeah, and they were like, "Nah, good deeds don't deserve money."
It's not like we're investigating a counterfeiter anyway.
Right? What the fuck, guys? As far as we know, we don't know what happened in this book.
For all we know, they're not investigating anything.
We have no idea.
All right, if you won't, I suppose there's no use arguing.
He said with evident relief. This is like when I, if I've ever like gone to like lunch or dinner or something with somebody, and it's like, I'll pay. Like, no, I'll pay. Like, no, I'll pay. No, I'll pay. I only will put up with that for like maybe 2 rounds before I'm like, okay, you can pay.
Yeah, I'm shameless. As soon as someone's like, oh, I'll pay, I'm like, okay.
Yeah. I like splitting, but I don't like the this hasn't happened in a long time, but you know it's happened before where it's kind of performative, and people are like, no, allow me to pay. Honestly can't remember the last time that happened. I just know that it has.
I must insist.
I must insist. It's a man's duty.
Surely, it's nothing.
But we're very grateful to you just the same. Well, Doc, what say we get back to work?
He continued, turning to his companion. Uncle Doc turned away and went back into the mill with Kurt. It's plain they don't want us hanging around, said Joe with a rueful glance at his clothes. Let's go up the river so I can throw these clothes over a hickory limb and get them dried out before we start back home. There we go. That's the kind of shit I wanted to read.
Hickory
Let me
limb?
throw my wet clothes over a hickory limb. Fuck yeah. Chapter 10, The New Boat. A week went by. A week in which the Hardy Boys and their chums again wrestled with refractory Latin phrases and geometrical problems. Again, like they did before, as the examinations drew near. Okay, so I guess they're gonna have exams at school. What the fuck is
examinations?
Examinations, I'm so sorry. What's a refractory Latin phrase?
I don't know. I never
Oh.
did Latin.
You know what's crazy? In my high school, they did offer Latin as like there were 3 language courses, and it was French, Spanish, and Latin, and everyone chose French or Spanish.
Yeah.
But the fact that Latin was offered, I find insane. in like 1999.
Well, like, I don't want the knowledge of it to go away, but it is weird to learn a language that no one speaks.
But also in high school.
I took Latin in high school.
You took Latin in high school?
What
I
does
was in the Latin-
refractory mean?
I don't know. That's not Latin. Yeah, so I was in the Latin club.
What?
The highlight of the Latin club was that the professor or Magister Sperry would do Latin Jeopardy.
Go
And
to Hogwarts?
no.
What's a magister?
Is
That's what he
Magister
calls
Latin
himself.
for teacher?
Yeah. The story from that class, though, wasn't anything about Latin. It was someone was cheating they had little scraps of paper that they put into a bag of Doritos. And they were like, take a Dorito out and then like get the answer. And Magister Sperry caught them and said, "This is the best cheating I've ever seen. I'll allow it."
I saw a great
You
YouTube
should have
video.
made him eat the Cheeto dusted
Yeah,
piece of
yes.
paper.
Yeah.
I saw a great YouTube video, and it was like, what happens when you go to Rome and speak Latin to Italians? And like his conclusion was like, oh, they perfectly understood me, but they really don't like it.
It's not surprising.
That's incredible. Okay. How did he know? Here's my thought. Okay, if you write the answers to it on little scraps of paper
Yeah.
and put them in a bag of Doritos, how do you know which scrap you're pulling out?
That's a great point, and I don't know the answer to that. I
And
don't
also-
even know how he did on the test. Like he could have
Yeah.
failed it miserably. Like
Yeah, you're just
If only you had a bag of Doritos, you would know the answer.
yeah, it's
I
true.
never really understood cheating in that way. But
Mm-hmm.
like I was a goody two shoes, so I don't know. But I never really understood cheating where you like write the notes somewhere.
Yeah.
Right.
Because that's basically studying.
Well, yeah.
Like at that point, you're studying.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's just the laziest form of studying. Like
It's like studying, but I guess not trusting yourself
yeah.
to remember.
Wow, Doritos.
This person also got a snack out of it, right?
Yeah.
Well, and that's the
Cheating
other
and a
thing.
snack.
That's the other thing I was thinking is like if I tried to open up a bag of fucking Doritos during a test in school, they would be like,
Yeah.
"I'm sorry, what? Crinkle, 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 chomp, chomp, chew." Like
Yeah.
that would be absolutely not allowed.
Latin Jeopardy had categories like Star Trek that had absolutely nothing to do with Latin.
Oh,
Yeah.
of course it did. You don't teach a Latin class and not be a giant Star Trek nerd also.
Exactly.
Like those two, that Venn diagram, Jimmy, is a circle.
I don't know anything about Star Trek or Latin from that class, I should say.
That's amazing. Holy shit. Okay, maybe if there's Latin in this book, you'll know what it is.
I doubt it.
The boys were examinations. There was little time for fun, even outside the school hours. The boys were all overcome by that helpless feeling that comes with the approach of examinations, the feeling that everything they had ever known had somehow escaped their memory, and that as fast as they had learned one fact, they forgot another. Remember school? That sucked.
Fucking yeah, that did suck.
But the week was over at last, and on Saturday morning, Fenton Hardy looked up from his newspaper with a quiet smile. "What's the program for today?" And today is spelled T-O-D-A-Y. I just want you to know. He asked of his sons. "Nothing in particular," said Frank. "I was thinking I'd dig into the Latin for an hour or so, although I'm so sick of the sight of that book that I'd like to throw it out the window." "I'm behind on my algebra," spoke up Joe.
But it's too nice a day to study. Anyway, I've been working hard all week. Perhaps if you went down to the boathouse, you might find something there, suggested their father casually. The boys stared incredulously. Then they gave a simultaneous whoop of delight.
Buy them a boat?
"You don't mean to say the motorboat is here!" exclaimed Frank. Their father had taken charge of the buying of the motorboat for them. What is these... What
Yes.
are these sentences?
Obviously he did.
Their father bought a motorboat.
No, he had taken charge of the buying for them.
What the fuck?
He bought them a motorboat? They're like 13.
They had not expected that the craft would arrive until the start of the summer holidays. Fenton Hardy merely smiled and turned to the financial page. "It mightn't be a bad idea to go down to the boathouse anyway," he said.
Maybe someone will show you their dark secret.
Incredible. The boys needed
Oh,
no
shit.
further urging. Within a few seconds, they were scrambling for their caps. Within the minute, they were racing down the front steps, and soon they were hastening toward Barmit Bay. In preparation...
Nothing you have said sounds like English. Sounds like Latin.
In preparation for the arrival of the motorboat, they had rented a boathouse on the southern shore of the bay, at the foot of the street on which they lived. During the week, Mr. Hardy had obtained the key from them on some pretext, but they had thought nothing of it. Now everything was clear. Wow.
What do you think his
Master
pretext was?
trickery. Yeah. I just want to get your key shined for you. The boat must have arrived here during the week, and he had it taken to the boathouse without telling us about it, said Frank.
Mm-hmm.
I guess he was afraid we wouldn't do much studying for the rest of the week if we knew it was there. I guess we wouldn't have either. When they reached the boathouse, they could hardly contain themselves in their eagerness to see if the boat had indeed arrived. Frank inserted the key in the lock and opened the door.
If there's nothing there, best fucking dad prank ever.
They stepped inside. There, rocking gently in the waves, was a long, graceful craft, white, with gilt trimmings, a motorboat that gave an immediate impression of strength and power without the sacrifice of graceful lines. There was a flag at the bow and at the stern. The fittings glistened, the seats were upholstered in leather, and across the bow was the name of the boat in raised letters. Awesome. Sleuth.
Yes. Awesome.
The Sleuth Sloop.
The Sleuth Sloop.
The name had been chosen by the Hardy Boys previous to the purchase of the craft and after much argument. "She's a beauty," breathed Frank in deep admiration. "I'll say. The smoothest looking boat on the bay, and I'll bet it's the fastest. Oh boy, if we'd only known this was here all week." Without further ado, the boys descended from the landing stage and got into the boat to inspect the craft more closely.
Everything they saw only served to confirm their first impression that the Sleuth was without doubt the neatest, most compact, and most beautiful motorboat ever launched. The fittings were bright and shining. The wheel responded to the lightest touch. "How's the gas and oil?" asked Frank, settling into the steerman's seat. "Full up. And also look, Frank, even the license is here. All right, cast off." Joe opened the boathouse doors, unhooked the chains that kept the craft secure, and then leaped into the Sleuth as the engine sputtered and roared. Frank threw in the clutch. The roar died away to a purr, and the boat backed swiftly and smoothly out into the bay. I bet boat guys love this.
Oh my god.
"The engine runs like a watch," reported Frank in delight.
I wish we'd been reading this the whole time.
I know.
Once outside the boathouse, he headed the craft out toward the open bay. It was soon apparent that the engine of the Sleuth was very powerful, for the boat leaped forward as Frank increased speed, and yet there was very little noise. The nose of the boat cut the water like a knife, and the craft skimmed out into the bay like a swallow.
Yeah, like boats.
Both boys were almost inarticulate with delight.
They were driving the boat. They're like,
That's some boat.
Some boat. The sense of speed and freedom held them spellbound. Frank changed places with Joe and gave his brother a turn at the wheel. Joe was astonished at the immediate response that came to his lightest touch. In anticipation of getting the boat, both lads had taken lessons in running such a craft from Tony Prideaux and others who had motorboats.
Is that their friend Tony, or is this a new Tony?
No fucking idea. And, as a consequence, Joe and Frank felt thoroughly at home with both the engine and the steering wheel. They circled about and came down toward shore again. It was a sunny morning, and 2 or 3 motorboats were spluttering and backfiring in their shelters near the shore. Out of one boathouse...
Jesus Christ. Did you guys hear that?
Could you hear
Not
that?
through Zoom.
Holy
Oh my God.
shit.
It was very loud, scary thunder.
Really, really loud thunder.
I did not like it. And there was lightning like a second before that happened.
Oof. Storms upon us. Well, you'll hear that on the episode. Good God. God, I lost my place. They circled about. Yep. Boathouses. out of one boathouse came a rakish black craft that the boys recognized instantly as the motorboat belonging to Tony Pritto's father. "There's Tony!" exclaimed Frank. "He always goes boating on Saturday mornings. Let's give him a race." "His boat's supposed to be the fastest on the bay." "I don't care whether it is or not. He'll have to go some to beat the sleuth. We'll challenge him." Although Tony had seen their boat, he had not yet recognized the boys in it, and when they drew alongside him, he gave a shout of surprise. "Oh, fuck!"
Similar.
Well, gee whiz, he exclaimed. Fuck, look who's here. I was wondering who owned the swell new tub. Is this the new boat? This is she, and she's fast. Boy, she's fast. Want to race? Tony laughed. I hate to show you up so soon. You won't like your new boat near so well if I beat you the first time you get into a race. You won't beat us. You've got a pretty speedy old boat there, all right, but you've met your match this time. Do you really think you can lick me? Asked Tony. You
Yeah,
know
get
you
close enough.
Haven't a chance. This is a real speedboat. This is a better one. Come on, we'll start from that buoy. Frank pointed to a buoy that was riding the waves about 100 yards away, and the two boats sped toward it. They kept on even terms until they came abreast of the buoy, and then Tony shouted, "Now!" At the same instant, the boats leaped forward. The engine of Tony's craft set up a deafening roar, but the sloof merely changed from a purr to a growl and sprang swiftly through the water. Tony had the advantage in that he knew his boat well, and he knew just how much power it would stand.
Within half a minute, he had established a substantial lead, while the sleuth was surging along in his wake. But Frank knew that the boat was more powerful than it seemed. Gradually, he let her out, and the sleuth responded until at least he could see that they were gaining on the craft ahead. By this time, Tony was tearing along at the highest speed of which his swift craft was capable, and the boat was almost rising out of the water with the force of its momentum. Rapidly, the sleuth overhauled the flying craft. Swiftly, it drew abreast. Nice. And the boys had a glimpse of Tony's astonished face as he glanced over the side at them. The sleuth roared on, rocking and swaying with spray dashing over the bows. There was no doubt as to which was the swifter craft. Tony was being left behind. Oops. When a gap of 300 or 400 yards separated the two boats, and when it was apparent that he had no hope of overhauling his rival, Tony lessened the speed of his craft as a signal that he had been beaten. Frank immediately throttled down the sleuth and swung her around in a wide circle. Then, at a more reasonable speed, they went back to meet Tony. Their chum was astonished beyond all measure.
I would love to know if the boat subplot is in the other version. Because I was just thinking, like,
it seems useless.
this would definitely be the type of thing when they rewrite it in the 50s that they're like, oh, boys can't afford a boat anymore.
I mean, obviously, there's like a later mystery or a later thing in this book that's just like, oh, we could take the sleuth and investigate it.
Oh, yeah, probably.
I thought you were just kidding when you said you'd race with me, he shouted as they drew closer. No kidding about that race, was there? I'll say there wasn't. I let my old boat out as fast as she'd go. I thought the engine was going to jump out once or twice. I didn't think there was a motorboat in the bay could beat mine, but I guess that tub of yours had it beat. When did you get it? This is the first time we've had it out. Wish I could stick around and race with you again, said Tony regretfully. I have to go back to the boathouse. I promised my father I'd help him at the warehouse this morning. Enough luck, sympathized Frank. We may see you this afternoon, but no more racing until the engine has worked in a bit better.
Child labor laws.
It was foolish to let her out while she's still so stiff. Where are you going now? Oh, we'll just cruise around, said Frank. I was thinking we might go up to the Barnett Village and back. That's a nice run. I'll take you for about half an hour if you go easy. About 5 minutes if you let that speed demon out for all she's worth.
Jesus Christ.
We'll go easy, laughed Joe. We don't want to ruin the engine on our first trip.
Yeah.
Yeah. Runs pretty smooth, approved Tony. It'll stand quite a lot. Well, I must be going. Goodbye. This has been a great chat about boats.
For someone who's in such a hurry to go, Tony cannot stop talking about this situation.
He really cannot. Well, I gotta go. Boy, it's a nice boat. What are you gonna do with it later? He turned the nose of his craft toward the boathouse and drew swiftly away. The Hardy Boys set out in the opposite direction, surging through the water toward Barmet Village. Chapter 11. A man in a hurry. Hang on. Let's do that one more time. Chapter 11.
Bankruptcy.
Thank you.
You're not going to edit it.
This, because I had a joke. This chapter is called "A Man in a Hurry." Unlike this book.
Okay.
Like Tony.
Like Tony. Barmet Village lay several miles from Bayport on the shore of Barmet Bay, from which it got its name. No shit! It was a small place inhabited by fishermen chiefly, and it was a distributing center for the farmers who lived in the surrounding area. The Hardy Boys had no particular object in going to Barmet, beyond the fact that the village served as a destination and gave their boating trip more of a purpose than there would have been had they merely cruised aimlessly around.
I think you're allowed to do that on a boat. I think a lot of people do that.
Yeah, I think most people I see on boats, I'm like, you're just doing that because you want to.
Yeah.
Although the sky had been clear and the sun had been shining when they set out, Frank noticed that already clouds were coming in from the sea and the wind was stiffening. Storms sprang up suddenly along the coast, but he was not alarmed, for he knew that they would have the wind with them on the return trip. The sleuth sped smoothly along, the engine purring without a miss. The craft neither rocked nor rolled, lame, but cut the waves cleanly.
Both Frank and Joe were delighted beyond measure with their boat.
How much longer do you think this book's gonna fucking talk about this goddamn boat?
I don't know.
The whole rest of it.
God damn it. Should be called the mystery of the old fucking new boat you just got.
Old fucking new boat. And at that moment would not have traded places with a king. By the time they reached Barmet, the sky was cloudier than ever, and there was a hint of rain.
Do you know how many boats kings have?
I don't know. So the boys determined that they would not stay long in the village. They made a landing at the wharf and got out to stretch their legs, being greatly pleased in the meantime by the complimentary remarks passed by such villagers as were about at the time on the appearance of the boat.
Okay.
These were not empty compliments, for the Barmet people prided themselves on knowing a good boat when they saw one, and there was nothing grudging in their approval of the sleuth. Two old fishermen sat on the wharf with their feet dangling over the water and discussed the motorboat in every detail from bow to stern, just like we fucking have, agreeing that she combined strength and appearance in a remarkable degree.
God damn, this book has a boner for this boat.
Boat boner.
Boat boner.
When they had finally affixed their seal of approval to the sleuth, they refilled their pipes and settled down to an endless series of reminiscences concerning boats that they had once sailed. This guy's beginning to look black, pointed out Frank to his brother after they had listened to a number of these tales. I guess we'd better be starting. So they didn't even go into town.
No.
They just...
They're just showing off to the old fishermen.
Whatever.
Joe moved away reluctantly, for he was fascinated by the highly colored yarns of the two old salts.
Oh,
But when he glanced...
thought like of a yarn. I thought that like real yarn.
No, but that was a great sentence.
That's good. That's good.
But when he glanced at the lowering horizon, he realized that Frank's apprehensions were justified and that it would be better for them to start back to Bayport without delay. They got into the boat and were just about to cast off when there came a sudden interruption. A man came running down the road leading to the dock. He was waving his arms and shouting, "Hi! Hey there! Wait for me!" Somewhat puzzled, the Hardy Boys waited. They did not recognize the man. He was a complete stranger to them. He was stout and thick-set, florid of face and red of hair, and as he ran out on the wharf, he panted from his exertions. "Whew!" he exclaimed, mopping his brow with a bright silk handkerchief. "I nearly missed you!" "What do you want?" Frank asked. "I wanted to go to Bayport right away. I want to catch that train. And if you could get me there in 20 minutes, I'll give you $10. Will you take me?"
That's $163 today.
It's pretty good.
That's crazy.
The Hardy Boys looked at one another doubtfully. Both were conversant with the Bayport train schedules, and neither was aware of any train that left Bayport at that hour in the morning.
Wow.
Do you think the author just got a boat? And that's why we like, oh, wait.
Oh my god, absolutely.
What to write about, what to write about, what to write... Oh, the boat!
The boat. Oh, the boat. Oh, I know all these terms now.
Yeah, he's like, I wish I had this boat like 2 weeks ago. I could have saved that kid. With the boat. Still, the stranger seemed very much in earnest, and he drew a $10 bill from his pocket as proof of his good faith. Come, he said impatiently. How about it? Will you take me or will you not? I want to be there in 20 minutes. There's a $10 in it for you. $10, as Frank said later, is not to be sneezed at. When they bought the motorboat, their father made the stipulation that they should not draw on their bank accounts to pay for the gasoline, and every cent was precious for that reason.
Wait,
I'm
well,
sorry,
how
wait,
are they
wait.
going to pay for the gasoline?
Yeah, wait, what? Yeah.
You gotta like do favors for dudes.
You siphon it from other boats at
You're gonna
night.
have to, yeah.
Just be a water taxi?
Yeah.
I mean,
Pay it
there's good
forward,
money in it.
sons.
Jump in, Frank said. I guess we can get you there in 20 minutes, all right? Thanks, said the florid-faced man, getting into the boat. Make it as quick as you can.
We already said.
Oh, I'm sorry.
What happened?
I knocked
Becca knocked down the
over.
camera. Becca got too excited
This
about
cord
boats.
was bothering me.
What cord?
This thing with the stuff.
It's the...
It distracts me.
What?
I don't know. I'm sorry. Because
Okay.
it's like touching my drink. I'm so sorry. What about the florid-faced man?
As it's boat related. Frank slipped into his seat, and in a few moments the engine was roaring as the sleuth glided away from the shadow of the wharf and headed out into the bay. She rapidly picked up speed, and soon the salt spray was flying as the motorboat tore through the waves, her nose pointing toward Bayport. The stranger settled back with a sigh of relief. Mighty good thing I met you, he said. I was beginning to think I wouldn't be able to get out at all.
There was only a rickety-looking Flivver?
Flivver.
Flivver? Flivver. 2 V's. I don't know if it's 2 V's or if it's an old-fashioned W like the Vivitch.
It's a slang term for a small, inexpensive, and often old, unreliable automobile.
So
Okay.
specific.
So they rewrote these books, you say, to make those.
Originating around 1910, the term likely derived from slang for failure or a flimsy machine, often called a tin lizzie or a puddle jumper.
Why don't we have good names for shit now?
I don't know. Everything's terrible. I want to call stuff a tin lizzie.
A tin Lizzie? God damn. There was only a rickety-looking flivver in the village, and... Oh, sorry, this is him talking. There was only a rickety-looking flivver in the village, and I was afraid to take a chance on it, for I don't think it would have lasted a mile without falling to pieces. You know those tin Lizzies. It was lucky I saw your boat when I did. The sleuth sped along under a darkening sky. They were running close to the shore in order to cut off as much distance as possible and keep a beeline for Bayport. Beeline for Bayport was a soap opera that I starred in the 80s. And it was possible to have a clear view of the road that ran just above the beach. Joe noticed that the stranger cast frequent, anxious glances toward the shore. Suddenly, an expression of alarm crossed the man's face, and Joe saw that he was watching 2 figures who had appeared on the road and who were running along, waving their arms, evidently trying to attract attention. "Somebody's signaling to us," he said to Frank. Frank looked up. The 2 men on the road were making frantic efforts to draw attention as they waved their arms and leaped about like lunatics. "Friends of yours?" asked Frank of their passenger. The florid-faced man laughed. What does that mean, florid? Red?
I think red?
Just red? Okay. The laugh was meant to be carefree and hearty, but there was no disguising the void of uneasiness beneath it, and it sounded exactly like this. Ha 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 ha!
Ruddy, flushed, or rosy complexion.
Okay.
How are these men running as fast as a boat can go?
Great question.
Yes, they're friends of mine, he admitted. I put one over on them that time. He chuckled nervously. They're just beginning to realize that I've given them the slip. What's the big idea? That's the time I fooled them. The stranger laughed loudly, too loudly, in fact. You see, I'm going to be married. That's why I have to catch that train. I kept it a secret until this morning, but
I just need some money to get on a bus to go visit my brother in Philadelphia.
I kept it a secret until this morning, but my friends got wind of it and thought they'd play a practical joke on me. Your marriage?
What? Dude cannot keep a lie straight.
I started out in plenty of time for the train, but they had fixed the engine of my car so it broke down and I had to come back to Barmet. They were trying to hold me back, and for a while I was beginning to think that they had got away with it. But I bested them. I fooled them that time.
Yeah, that's the ticket.
What?
He laughed again.
Ooh, you know, this guy does remind me of John Lovitz.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
That's his voice now.
Yes. And I will do a flawless John Lovitz impression right now.
Okay.
He laughed again, but still there was that note of insincerity in his mirth that had aroused the suspicions of the Hardy Boys at first. They said nothing, and the stranger evidently thought his story had been believed, for he sat back in the boat with a complacent air. But Frank glanced again at the two men on the road. For practical jokers, they seemed to be making a tremendous fuss over their friend's escape. They were still waving their arms, evidently trying to signal the boat to turn back.
Oh, you didn't even get to do it. You're John Lovitz.
I didn't. I guess you'll never hear it now.
Damn it.
There's something fishy about this, muttered Frank. I don't know of any train leaving Bayport at this hour of the day. Neither do I, his brother replied in a low voice. Those men on the shore seem mighty agitated over something or other. If it was a practical joke, they'd just give up and go back to the village. It's a pretty queer story. He seemed in an awful hurry to get away from Barmet. I have a good mind to turn back. We may be getting ourselves into trouble. He'll be mad as hops if we do.
I'm sorry, what?
Tell him we don't want his money and take him back to Barmet. The more Frank considered the situation, the more he felt that the wisest course would be to turn back to Barmet and wash his hands of the whole affair.
But what about the storm?
The stranger's story about an approaching wedding might be true and it might not, but there was the fact of which he was certain, that there was no train leaving Bayport at that hour of the day. He turned to the passenger. What time is your train leaving? About 10:30. There's no train leaving Bayport at that time. That's the time my train leaves, insisted
Oops.
the stranger, beginning to look somewhat flustered.
The earliest train's at noon, put in Joe. I'll tell you, this train leaves at 10:30. I just have time to catch it. I'm afraid you're going to miss it, said Frank. I'm going to turn back to Barmet. Turn back, shouted the man in consternation. What are you going to do that for? I don't like the looks of this affair, said Frank. Considering that this is supposed to be nothing more than a practical joke, those two men on shore seem to be making quite a fuss over your escape. They're hoping they can persuade you to turn back. Then they'll have the joke on me after all. They're going to have it anyway, said Frank with determination. I've changed my mind about taking you to Bayport. We don't want your $10. That's twice these guys have turned down $10.
Twice they've turned down $163.
That is insane. Well, you've got to take me to Bayport, exclaimed the stranger in a high excitement. I must catch my train. His bullying manner nettled Frank. This is our boat, and if we want to turn back, we can turn back, he told the passenger. We didn't ask you to come with us, but you promised to take me to Bayport. Stormed the stranger.
Take forever to get through this fucking book. Mm-hmm. They say everything 4 times.
Yeah. I've got to be there in time to catch the train. There isn't any train at 10:30 and we know it. We're going to turn back to Barmet and you'll have ample time to catch the noon train after that. The stranger gritted his teeth and half rose from his seat. Then he sank back, as though realizing that he was going beyond his rights by objecting. A nice trick to play on me. I can't do a John Lovitz voice, I guess.
Start with, yeah, that's right.
That's the ticket. What was a tartlet? Tartlet. A nice trick to play on me, he snapped. Bringing me this far and then turning back.
Your friends on the shore seem anxious to have you back for some reason or other.
Frank bore down on the wheel, and the sleuth slowly began to circle about. Slowly. Oh, wait, no. Sorry. The opposite. Suddenly, the voice of the stranger rasped right at their ears.
Ew.
Ew. Don't turn this boat around. Keep heading for Bayport. Startled, they turned. The stranger was standing right behind them, and in his hand, he clutched a revolver that was aimed directly at them. He has a gun on them.
And then they both said at the same time, "A revolver!"
Hang on, I'm going to read this too, because these are short-ass pages. Right?
Yeah, they're pretty
They
short.
are.
Chapter 12. Seasick. It took me a second to do Roman numerals. The Hardy boys were not prepared for this sudden change of front on the part of the stranger. They gazed incredulously at the revolver, but the coldly determined face of their passenger convinced them that the man meant to use force if necessary.
Don't they know they could just stick their finger in the barrel?
I don't think they do.
Also, what difference does it make? Aren't they going to Bayport anyway?
Right? Like, who fucking cares?
That's going way more out of their way to turn around.
Yeah. Keep right on toward Bayport, he ordered. Don't turn back. What's the big idea? Demanded Frank indignantly. The idea is that I want to go to Bayport, and if you won't take me there of your own free will, I'll just have to persuade you. That's the ticket. This gun is loaded, so don't make any foolish moves, see?
It's not a bad John Lovitz.
Thank you.
Very good.
Honestly, it's written kind of like John Lovitz.
Yeah.
Already. The boys looked at one another, and the stranger began to chuckle. Be reasonable now, the man said with the gun. I have to catch that train, or I'll miss the wedding. I can't let you bring me back to the village. My friends would never let me hear the end of that joke. Stop.
I don't understand the joke.
It's also like...
The joke is not letting you go to your wedding.
You have a gun on children now. You can stop pretending like you pulled a joke on people and you're not just a con man, because that's obviously what's happening.
It's just by luck I had this revolver in my pocket. But still, if you turn this boat around, I'll use it. He was trying to pass the affair off
I'm not
as...
afraid to murder children.
Yeah. He was trying to pass the affair off as more or less of a joke, but there was no mistaking the steely glint in his eyes or the hardness of his voice. Frank looked at his brother and shrugged. I guess there's nothing else for it but bring him to Bayport, he muttered. I don't want to get shot. That gun looks bad, agreed Joe. I'm not ad-libbing that.
No, I know you are.
There's not much joking about that part of it. Frank bore down on the wheel and corrected the course of the boat so that they were soon bound directly for Bayport again. We'll take you to the city, he said to the stranger, but I'm going to warn you that we'll turn you over to the police if we get a chance. That's a dangerous game you're playing, even if you say it's only a joke. It's a hold-up. You'll think differently after we reach Bayport, promised the man. I'll have my wife write you a letter of thanks after the wedding. I hate to use this revolver, but I can't miss this train. The stranger's insistence on a story that he had to catch a train did not convince the Hardy boys by any means.
They were still suspicious of their passenger, the more so now that he used force to induce them to take him to Bayport. I'd like to get that gun away from him, whispered Frank as he bent over the
Are
wheel.
they all standing right fucking next to each other?
Also, aren't they on a boat that's going really fast, so would it just be
Yeah.
like a lot of noise?
I'm thinking like tiny little speedboats, so they're sitting, like kind of like Indiana Jones.
Yeah,
That
but
little
that's still like
speedboat
loud
they
as
used in
fuck.
Venice.
Yeah. Chris, I was thinking the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Chris.
The sleuth.
The sleuth.
Not much chance. He's watching us too closely. I'm right over your shoulders, boys.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. There we go. Trying to fix up some plot to get a hold of this revolver? Asked the stranger.
way better
You
than
needn't
Muppets.
bother.
pretty good.
I hold the whip hand here. I don't know what that means.
What's that mean?
Ooh.
I hold the whip hand here.
Maybe he's going to backhand him or something. We know it, retorted Frank. But wait till we get to Bayport. The motorboat raced on down the bay. The storm clouds that had been collecting all morning now hung heavily in the sky. The bay was sullen and slate-colored, and a heavy sea was running. Whitecaps broke on the surface of the water. "Looks like a storm," Frank muttered. "Perhaps it's just as well we didn't turn back." A streak of lightning split the sky. It was followed by a distant rumble of thunder.
This is when it would be good for it to
I
thunder.
know, right?
Yeah.
That was bad
What I was
timing.
pausing for. The sleuth was riding the waves well, but there was a rocking motion that could not be avoided. The boat swayed from side to side as it plunged on. After about 5 minutes, Frank glanced behind.
What did you do?
The man fell off and died.
So, like, picture this.
Yes.
You're on a boat.
Yeah.
I won't go into the boat. Like, we know.
We all know about the boat. Yeah.
And the dude pulls a gun on you.
Mm-hmm.
Is your move to be like, hey, man, when we get there, I'm calling the cops?
Absolutely not. I don't give a shit. At that, like,
Oh, yeah.
I would just be like, don't tell me your name.
Yep.
I'm gonna stop looking at your face.
Yep.
I'm gonna park my boat where I'm parking my boat, and
Yep.
you go about your business.
And then you leave. And then
I do not care
And then
anymore.
guess what? I never met you.
Yeah.
I'd probably blurt out, like, well, if you insist.
Right. He's like,
Yeah.
well, I'll have my wife write you a nice letter then.
Yeah. Like, please don't. I
Yeah.
don't want you to know my address.
I'm not. You know what? Let's just keep your money.
Yeah.
Keep your money. It's fine.
Keep your money, and I don't care.
The thing that I like is living.
Enjoy your crime or prank or whatever.
Enjoy your crime prank.
The stranger was no longer standing up.
Or the other reaction, and that's, I will drive this boat right onto shore and throw away the key.
Sorry.
See, I was thinking, is there a way you can't do this in a boat? You can't.
Yeah, you can't slam the brakes.
You can't. Yeah, thank you, Chris. You can't slam the brakes. I was literally thinking just like slam the brakes, but it would just be what's that boat like lever where you just go like and it would just go. It would just
Slowly
you
go
just-
to a stop
you'll
and just
slowly
like,
go to a
we'll
stop.
just float here until
Yeah.
you throw that gun away.
Oops.
Or just, like, slowly start turning the wheel until it's fully extended, and everyone's like this.
You can maybe cut the wheel really hard a couple of times and try and just like
Rock him out.
just rock them out, like really hit some waves or something. I don't know. I've never driven a boat.
And then you form a pact with your brother where you never speak about when you force that man to drown.
Yeah. After you saved a boy from drowning, the same. Oh no, this is like a week later.
Well, you win some, you lose some.
Life balances out.
The stranger was no longer standing up. He was sitting back against the cushions again, and he still had the revolver leveled at the Hardy Boys. But there was a curious expression on his face, an expression of nausea. His eyes were staring, and his face was pallid. For
Not
a moment,
florid. I guess florid and pallid are opposite.
he's transitioned.
Oh, is
from
he
florid to
seasick?
pallid.
He went from florid to pallid.
He's red to green.
Red to green.
For a moment, Frank could not understand what the matter was. Then, as the boat gave a lurch more violent than usual, he understood.
Yep.
He nudged his brother.
Yep.
Getting seasick, he whispered.
I forgot that was the title of this chapter.
Joe glanced back, and when he saw that the stranger's florid face had changed in hue from a deep red to a greenish white,
Whoa!
What did we write this book?
What?
he knew that the motion of the boat was indeed taking its effect. He forbore an impulse to chuckle at their passenger's plight.
Why not?
He sure
I think
did.
you're allowed to laugh at him.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Give her a little more gas, ordered the stranger in a curiously feeble voice. You're not going fast enough. He brandished the revolver threateningly. Frank obligingly increased the speed of the sleuth, but the rocking motion only became more pronounced. The stranger gulped, but he did not lower the weapon. That's better, he said without enthusiasm. I'm going to give him something to be seasick about, whispered Frank.
Yes. Yes. Okay. He's doing exactly what we were just talking about.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Without warning, he suddenly bore down on the wheel and swung the motorboat about so that it was lying broadside to the waves. Here, what's the matter? Asked the stranger. Where are you going now? We're off course. I'm heading in toward shore a little more so that we can get out of the wind. This explanation satisfied the stranger, although it became speedily apparent that the new course did not. The sleuth received the full force of the long rollers. The waves were not high enough to be dangerous, but the swells gave the undulating motion to the craft that swiftly increased the stranger's illness. He's slipping! whispered Joe. Frank glanced back. The stranger was indeed slipping. His teeth were tightly clenched. His face was almost green. His expression was that of a man who is deathly sick, but he still clung to the revolver, and he still waved it feebly at the boys. Head her in toward Bayport, he demanded. Do you want to make me sick? This'll fix him, said Frank. Get ready! He bore down on the wheel again. The sleuth...
What? Just because they've said it 6 times now. Bore down on the wheel? Is it just turning the wheel?
You bash on it with your fists.
Boring to me, I feel like would be like pushing something.
Yeah.
But I guess it's just turning
I'm
really
guessing
hard.
it's just like, like turning.
Okay. It's just that they've said it so many times.
But like bearing down the wheel is 100% how I would describe it. Like turning the wheels of my 81 Scirocco, my first car, because it had no power steering, and to turn that wheel, I literally had to grip it underhand and be like, it was.
Oh, and if you're stationary, you almost have to like lift yourself up and use your body weight to get it started.
I was in good shape driving that
That's
car.
the way I was when I had my 76 El Camino.
Yeah, you had to use brute force to drive that fucking car.
And now computers do it.
And now I just sit back and I barely do anything. And my seats have vents in them.
Yeah.
That feels like I'm sitting on an air
Your
hockey
seat
table.
is an air conditioner.
Fucking awesome. It's awesome. Okay. The sleuth swung around at right angles to her previous course.
Why do you push it like that?
I don't know. I was trying to get it in front of you, but your drink's in the way.
But I was trying not to knock your camera over again.
I appreciate that.
You're welcome. The abrupt swerving
I
motion...
didn't say thank you.
You're welcome. The abrupt swerving motion finished the stranger. With a groan, he slumped forward in his seat and bowed his head on his arms. Joe sprang up. With one bound, he reached the man with the gun. The stranger realized what was happening and struggled to his feet. He raised the weapon, but Joe struck out and dashed the revolver from his hand. It described a flashing arc, then fell into the water with a splash. Sick as he was, the man swung out viciously, and his fist caught Joe on the side of his face, staggering him. Joe quickly recovered himself and plunged forward, grappling with the man. They swayed to and fro in the middle of the boat, then fell, still struggling. But although Joe was young and wiry, he was not strong enough to cope with his antagonist, and Frank soon saw that the stranger was having the better of the battle. He glanced ahead, saw that the sleuth was heading into a long, low bank of fog, but that there were no other boats in sight, then abandoned the wheel. He leaped back to the assistance of his brother, crooked his elbow about the stranger's neck, and dragged him back. The man struck out wildly, twisted around, and staggered Frank with a blow in his ribs. He managed to struggle to his feet. They saw his hand flash to his pocket. Then he produced a small package. I thought it was going to be a knife.
Me too.
Produced a small package and flung it far out over the side.
What?
Or another gun.
Guns on guns.
It had only taken a second, but that second was sufficient to serve for his undoing. I don't know how I read that smoothly.
I don't either, but congratulations.
Frank scrambled to his feet in the swaying boat, and for a moment they sparred. Then Frank's right fist shot out, and the blow landed directly on the point of the stranger's jaw. The man was not knocked out, but he staggered back, and the wild lurching of the boat sent him off his balance. He stumbled and fell. His head struck against the side of the boat, and he crumpled up in a heap.
Good lord.
Oh man, that's the second person we almost killed this week.
I know.
The blow had knocked him unconscious. Frank bent over him. He saw that the man was not badly hurt. They keep saying people knocked unconscious are not badly hurt.
They didn't know back then that it's really, really bad for you to be knocked unconscious.
But that he had been stunned by the impact. He pointed out a coil of rope in the stern. Tie his ankles, Joe, in case he wakes up. I've got to get back to the wheel. The sleuth by this time was off her course.
I'm just wondering, like, is every errand they ever do, every time they leave the house, does it end up in, like,
Deadly.
some sort of wild, violent, dangerous situation?
It seems like it.
And involving rope.
Yes.
Yeah.
Lots of rope.
Yeah, and concussions.
The sleuth by this time was off her course and was wallowing in the trough of the waves. Quickly, Frank swung the craft about, but when he peered ahead to locate Bayport, he gave an exclamation of alarm. The city was nowhere to be seen. The heavy cloud of mist that had been gathering over the bay now totally obscured the shores. How far the boat had departed from her course he did not know, and in the fog bank he had but a vague idea of their location.
He began to look around in hopes of finding a compass, but there was none in the boat. Have you got a pocket compass, Joe? Joe, who was busily engaged in tying the unconscious stranger's ankles together, looked up and shook his head. Isn't there one in the boat? No, and here
It
we
says
are in a
campus.
fog.
Wait,
Does it?
I just realized it says
Campus.
campus.
Oh, wow, it does say campus.
A pocket campus.
A pocket
You got
campus.
a pocket campus, Joe?
That's how that's how it was spelled in the 20s.
Isn't there one in the boat? No, and here we are in a fog bank. I don't know whether we're in the right direction for Bayport or not.
It's a really weird cliffhanger. Wow.
This is very different.
Very different.
Better?
Oh, good question. Different.
It makes
Bad
less
joke alert.
sense, but it's more fun to read.
It is more fun to read. Chris, what did you say?
Bad joke alert.
Yes.
The next chapter is titled Flotillas in the Mist.
Jesus. That's not a bad joke, Chris. That's a pretty good joke.
I don't get it.
Like Gorillas in the Mist.
Oh, I don't know what that means.
It's a movie?
I think it's a documentary.
It's a documentary about gorillas
I
in some
think.
mist.
That is a good joke. I just didn't
Thank
know what
you.
it was.
Yeah, that's good. I like that. Wow. Okay.
Still got it.
So this is definitely what I was wanting from Hardy
yeah,
Boys.
like this is way more exciting than the bullshit we were reading before.
Really, really is.
But also, still, somehow, nothing has happened.
Yes, that's what I was just gonna
Like,
say.
the last note I wrote was, now they're in fog.
Yeah.
But it's way more exciting nothing.
It's much better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why'd they edit that out? Or like, do they restructure it to later in the book?
I
Who the
am
fuck
desperate
knows?
to know how the other one ends.
Me too. I was like, let's see if I do any of my due diligence before next
Your
time.
Drew diligence.
My Drew diligence. Because I was thinking, like, I do want to go back and like just skim the first like 6 chapters of this version to
Yeah.
see like what the fuck, like if it's any similar
Yeah.
to. I mean, I skimmed a little bit before we started recording, and like they were going to the train station to meet their dad.
Yeah.
There was a counterfeit bill. It was a $5 bill, not 20. I
But,
don't know if he was buying a microscope.
Was he buying a microscope?
I don't know.
I
don't
feel
know if
like
he was
that
buying
is
a
really
microscope.
unlikely.
Probably, yeah. And it feels to me like they changed so much of it, like you were saying, to make the boys less reckless. I wonder if it's just because they're like, we don't want children reading these books and then like doing this
Like
shit.
slapping revolvers out of guys' hands.
Yeah, like this is really
when they're
dangerous.
unsupervised boat trip.
This is not a good.
Or saving strangers from drowning.
Yeah. Jimmy, what are your thoughts on some OG Hardy Boys?
I would keep reading this. I don't know how much longer I could go on with the boat stuff, but they'll probably get some new thing that they'll go on and on about, right?
I'm kind of hoping the boat stuff ends pretty soon.
Yeah. Well, they're in, like, I'm wondering if maybe we have a disappearing city on our hands. Are they in Bayport? It's no
Disappearing
longer
in
there.
the fog.
Somebody stole Bayport.
Right.
And
it's-
also, now
it's
just
just-
to like level set, since we're in the old version.
Yeah.
Frank is 16, and Joe is 15.
15, yeah.
Wait, I thought Joe was the older one.
I don't know. I
was
still cannot tell either of them
Frank
apart.
is 16, Joe is 15.
Some bandit has burgled Bayport.
I think Joe is
Where'd
the one
the
that's
town
slightly
go?
more serious, but God only knows who these boys are. They're so different.
These boys are like,
Maybe
let's
they're not
wrestle
mean
a
to
gun
Chet
out
at
of a
all.
man's hands.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now they got to solve the disappearing city thing with him.
Yeah. And they're, oh God, there's men caning children.
Yeah.
This is fucked up. Okay.
They hogtied a criminal in their boat.
They did.
Yes. Oh man, this is great. I'm happy. I'm happy that the Kindle got fucked up and
Me
that
too.
we discovered this version of it. And I wish that I had looked for this on Open Library before. I just went straight. I just Path of
Yeah.
Least Resistance. I was just like, I'll buy it. Who cares?
Thank
Holy
you,
crap.
Open Library.
Thank you, Open Library. Once again, thank you, Open Library. You are truly great. Jimmy, thank you for coming back and reading this insanity with us.
Thank you for having me. I had a blast.
Good. How does this if you had to revolver to your head,
Okay.
John Lovitz's revolver to your head.
Yeah.
If you
On a
had
boat.
Yeah, on a boat. If you had to choose between 1920s Hardy Boys or a Christopher Pike book, which one are you going with?
I mean, Christopher Pike is unpikeable. Is that
That's true.
Unpikeable.
That is true.
you can't compare.
Yeah.
But I really appreciate the language in this book. Like the writing is so amazing. Like listening to you all read these words in sequence, and it's incredible.
The words in sequence are baffling a lot of the time.
It's really hard to just like hang in there while you're speaking.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
reading and speaking and keep a grip on where the sentence is going.
There have been a couple of times where I feel like I just kind of like blacked out while someone was reading and I was listening to it because I like that doesn't make sense. When you said something about the gun going overboard, it was like it reflected, or like there was a word that was in there.
It was a verb that I did not understand in that context.
That didn't make any sense to me at all. Not at all. Oh my god. Well, awesome. This was really fun. Thank you, Jimmy, for coming back. And I didn't realize that you had read so much Christopher Pike with us, so I'm glad that you got to read something completely different.
Great to mix it up
with us. Yeah, we get to mix it up. Is there anything for people listening that you would like to plug?
Oh, do I want to plug something? You should keep listening to this. Oh, I will plug something. So I learned today that Gallery 1988 is closing. I don't know if you guys are familiar. Like it's
only
pop
through
art
you.
gallery
Yes,
that I was able to show it a few times, and it really did a lot for, I think, pop culture and the way people look at prints and these kinds of things now. So they have a whole bunch of stuff going on for the last month that they're together. A few of my things are up in there, but don't look at that stuff. Look at all the other stuff they've got. Please don't.
It's supposed to be a plug.
Yeah.
You can plug yourself.
Definitely worth looking at their site while they still have things up. They did a lot for me and for the community, and worth a shout.
Nice.
Yeah.
Check out Gallery 1988. I hope this isn't going up for. It might be closed by the time this episode comes out.
They're going into a liquidation after they go through their sales, so there should be plenty of chances to say
Cool.
goodbye.
Good. Yeah. Look up Gallery 1988. Chris, what would you like to plug?
If you're a fan of the hijinks we get up to on this show, then Cactus Rodeo would like to invite you on an improvisational comedic adventure that we call The Sketchy Show, wherever you get your podcasts.
Fantastic.
Might be the best one I've done yet.
That was great. I really liked it. You can subscribe to you can follow Below Grade Level on TikTok and Instagram for lots of clips. I've started writing down little notes during the episode so I can remember what we laughed the hardest at. I wrote down Latin Club and Doritos. So keep an eye out for that little clip on Instagram and TikTok. You can follow us on Instagram and TikTok, and you can follow Cactus Rodeo, where Below Grade Level and other fun stuff is published on Facebook and YouTube. Thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you, Jimmy, for coming back, and come back next time for us to continue reading this alternate universe version of The Hardy Boys and the Secret of the Old Mill. We'll find out what weird, outdated shit happens next time. We love you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Below Grade Level is a Cactus Rodeo production. You can subscribe to and follow Below Grade Level on TikTok, Instagram, Spotify, Apple, and wherever you find podcasts. Contact us at podcast@cactusrodeo.com and discover more of what Cactus Rodeo has to offer on Facebook and YouTube.